It was around 2007 or so when Thor's renaissance happened under the pen of famous writer JMS and the art of Olivia Coipel and Marko Djurdjevic. They brought new life to a character who had sort of been floundering from his last big Ragnarok event, and it happened just at the right time for his big Marvel movie debut. And since then, we've had great writers like Matt Fraction and Kieran Gillen. But I think it is Jason Aaron who really took the character and left a definitive mark on the Thor mythos, specifically with his use of the female Thor. G'day, how's it going? This is Comics with your mate Failbait, looking at a Comixology sale that is very dear to me because it's one of my favourite series of Thor of all time, and it's a sale for the Jane Foster, spoiler alert, Thor comics. We're going to look at 3 comics I would recommend you buy, and they are Thor Volume 1, The Goddess of Thunder, Thor Volume 2, Who Holds the Hammer, and The Mighty Thor Volume 1, Thunder in Her Veins. So it's a little bit confusing because there's 2 Volume 1s, but just Thor, as I'll be calling it, Volume 1, The Goddess of Thunder, is the start of the story, followed by Thor Volume 2, of course, and then The Mighty Thor is just a bit of a rebranding, but it's the continuation of the same story. So the first 2 are a pretty good introduction, but I think it's the Mighty Thor Volume 1 that really kicks things off and really gets interesting, which is why it's here. But of course, at the end of it, I'll recommend the entire series because it's, like I said, one of my favorites. With that technical side of things out of the way, let's get to the story, which is gripping and majestic, as all fantasy stories should be. The collaborative team is truly mighty, with Jason Aaron writing and joined by Russell Dowderman and probably my favorite colorist of all time, Matthew Wilson. So the basic gist of things, as you'll find out in Just Thor, is that Mjolnir is on the moon and Thor is now unworthy. Someone has picked up the hammer and taken on the powers of Thor. The new Thor fights the old Thor, has some tussles with Odin, and even fights back some frost giants. It's a nice introduction, and the art is phenomenal, and it also features both Thors, so if you do like the Odin son, this is a great read. It even follows into Volume 2, Who Holds the Hammer, as the suspect of who the new Thor is narrows. It's part of why I feel like these first 2 volumes are pretty interesting, because the narrative, while it does sort of circle around who is the new Thor, and we already sort of know, it does show us this new Thor's interaction with the wider Marvel universe, which I like to see finding their place in these 10 realms now. But the really interesting part for me is the dark elf villain Malekith. And it's really such a cool introduction to this big, far-reaching story that he has. And it's sort of like, it's a bit of foreshadowing, but it'll definitely be repaid later. Trust me on that. His story, Malekith, is just so all-encompassing. It's a fantastic read, especially if this feels like the start of it, you know? And honestly, the characterization of the new Thor and Jane Foster, I think, is also the star. Obviously struggling with her cancer, yet still embodying the heroic nature of Thor. It's just so inspiring to read. That's what I meant earlier when I said that it's both powerful and poignant. Aaron and Russell Dowderman capture the depth of character so perfectly, whether it's in her personal narration, we even get thought bubbles, which is really cool, or her facial expressions. And thankfully, it is the same art team in Just Thor as it is in The Mighty Thor. And it's here that they really pick up their stride. Aaron's writing masterfully weaves a story between the many different realms of Norse mythology, continuing Malekith's dastardly plan like a puppet master pulling all the strings. And it shows just how creative Aaron's writing is, incorporating many different elements of his storied Marvel history, along with the different cultures in Norse mythology. He even gives us a Loki, which is pretty cool, so if you're a fan of Loki, this comic will be riotous fun for you. Most of all, I feel like Aaron writes so well for his artistic partners, Dowderman and Wilson, giving them such bombastic and electrifying fight scenes, making great use especially of Dowderman's energetic and vivid art style. And thanks to the colouring, everything is so clear and vibrant, it fits right in with the fantastical setting. Whether it's the really dark blue colours of the Dark Elves or the brighter sort of somber hues in the modern day realms, like as you can see with Jane Foster in the hospital, it just captures the contrast really well. And it also shows to me, I think, that, you know, there hasn't really been a better alter ego character than Jane Foster, someone who's, you know, struggling, like I said, both physically and emotionally, but also able to really capture that heroism. It makes it one of the most interesting alter egos for me. And it also makes it one of my favorite Thor comics of all time. Definitely one of the best overall Thor sagas this century. And I think this incarnation of the character really follows it along, brings us a captivating main character whose turmoils are inspiring and heartbreaking, a villain whose evil machinations are entertaining to keep up with, and an art team that is without equal. All of the Jane Foster Thor comics are on sale right now, though I've only detailed the first 3 volumes here. They're all under $3, very affordable for such a great comic. But of course, the rest of them are all on sale as well. They're all less than $5. I think it's something like 60% off. So I would definitely recommend buying all of them, and you will love it from start to finish. Thanks for watching. This has been Thor Comics with your mate Failbait. Like, comment, and subscribe if you have enjoyed this video, and of course you can find my socials in the information below. Don't miss this sale. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time.